Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking about how I break down goals into projects to help me actually get them accomplished. Now, this sounds all pie in the sky, but in the interest of being completely transparent, I do want to point out the fact that I am a champion procrastinator. I'm just going to put that out there right now. Just because it looks like I have all of my projects and goals broken down into next actions and I'm moving things forward, there are certain times, like right now, that I'm actually not moving anything forward. I will say a lot right now, that's kind of by choice. I don't necessarily have the bandwidth in order to break things down and actually move them forward the entire year. So busy seasons like now at work, that's just not something that happens. So I did want to point that out because I have had a lot of people say to me, oh, it seems like you get so much stuff done. I really admire you for that. Give yourself some grace. There are going to be times when it's just not a good time to focus on moving goals and projects forward. You have to learn when it's okay to just exist and push through whatever you need to push through and not worry about the fact that you're not moving everything forward and being perfect about moving stuff along. So that being said, we are in my goals section and I'm going to take this paper out just because it's easier to deal with that way. And I'm going to walk you through how I break down my goals into projects and projects into tasks, which means that we actually end up getting things done. So today we are talking about breaking down goals and projects into accomplishable tasks. This video is actually a collaboration with Antonisha Lachey. She and I are both working on moving projects forward, and I saw that she was working on this and reached out to her and said, hey, would you like to do a collaborative video? Because she and I are both working on something similar, and we thought it would be interesting for you to have two different perspectives on how we do our project planning and goal translation into projects, I guess is the best way to put that. So I'm going to put a link to her video in the description down below and probably up above. So make sure you check her video out because it will be really interesting to see how she is handling her own project planning. Because she's in the middle of doing quite a few things. She's starting her own business several times over. She's also expecting her third child. She's definitely busy. She's a very busy woman. I have nothing but mad respect for her for everything that she's working on all at the same time right now. So that being said, let's get into how I am doing my project and goal planning. So the project we're going to be working on is actually my decluttering goal. So I guess this is the goal that we're working on. Now, I have not really done a whole lot with this. I did a little bit at the beginning of the year working on the living room, and actually it might have even been the tail end of last year, and I have not worked on this since. I think this is probably the most important reason why this hasn't been moved along is I had a big goal of decluttering the house. Like I have a lot of surface clutter and I want to minimize that just because it makes me feel like I can breathe a little bit better. It sounds kind of weird, but it's true. So because I basically said, okay, I'm going to declutter the house and I'm going to do the living room by X date, but that's as far as I broke it down. I have a feeling that's why this isn't moving forward. Like when I look at my list of things to do and declutter living room is on it, that's not a small enough thing for me to work on. I think I've actually talked about this before in my Girl Boss Planning series, but it is worth mentioning again. Break down your projects, your goals into as small a task as possible. Whatever it is that makes you feel like I can do this easily, I don't have a mental block against it, that's how granular it needs to be. So sometimes it doesn't have to be that granular. Let's take this decluttering the bedroom. I did some brainstorming on things I need to do inside the bedroom. One of them is putting away out of season clothes, namely the sweaters that are sitting on top of my dresser. That's also been on my to-do list for a while. That's obviously not granular enough. What is granular enough is that I need to go out to the garage, get the underbed storage bag that I have that's sitting out there, bring it in, put the sweaters in it. That's the next granular task that I'm thinking I can do that. And to be honest, I actually don't know where that is. So my next task actually probably needs to be go find the underbed storage container for sweaters. That's granular enough. When I look at that, I think I can do that. So keep in mind when you're breaking things down, It needs to be granular enough that your reaction to it is, I can do that. If you don't have that visceral, I can do that sort of reaction to it, it's not granular enough for you. And it may vary. Sometimes, especially when you're busy, you may need to have everything very granular, but you don't have to have every single step listed out. It could be find under bed storage and put sweaters in it. I don't need all the little in-between steps. I don't need, bring it into the house, put the sweaters in it, put it under the bed. Like once I get going on that, I know what to do with it. You may need all the steps, especially depending on what it is. But there are some things you just won't need to break down that much. You just need to have the very next thing that you need to do. And I think I also talked about it before. Your next action can also just kind of be like a placeholder for where you left off. So if I'm decluttering the bedroom, I get on a roll. So I do the first thing, and I do a bunch of other stuff, but I don't have everything completely mapped out. That's fine. Wherever I left off, the next thing I need to do, that's the next action step. So those are just a couple of things to keep in mind when you are project planning and breaking goals and projects down into tasks. So that being said, I went ahead and started working on this just so you didn't have to watch me write everything. So the project goal here is declutter bedroom. And actually, before I get too far along, these are the Happy Planner project goal sheets. They're double-sided. And I don't remember how many come in a pack, but it's basically just this paper. They have them, this is the classic size. They also have them in the mini size as well. So I'm sure they have them in the big size. Whichever planner that you use, they have that size available. All right, so the project goal here is declutter bedroom. I'm not writing in today's date. For me, like a due date seems like it might be more valuable, but I'm just gonna leave it blank for now. For subject, I actually put a very detailed thing. So declutter bedroom is kind of general. So I wrote down what my overarching goal is, clear surface clutter around the house, and then I put a colon and wrote bedroom, because that's essentially what this is. And then I wrote down, this is something I actually wrote when I was breaking down my goals. It's in my mini planner, it's in my personal too. I actually wrote kind of like what the end result is and then why it's important. So in this case, surface clutter is minimized and intentional, resulting in a peaceful home. This is important because it creates breathing room, reduces stress, and it's easier to keep clean. So this is like what I'm doing and why. That's how I view this top section here. So my notes on things that I need to do in order to declutter the bedroom include putting away out of season clothes, as I mentioned, sweaters especially, and those would go under bed storage. Editing my clothes, shoes, and scarves. I have purchased clothes. I'm hopefully, very slowly, knock on wood, losing weight. So I do want to kind of go through and see what fits me, what doesn't fit me right now, and then go ahead and set things aside to be given away. And then I have surfaces that I need to quiet. So the top of my dresser, the top of my husband's dresser, I have a dressing table in there where I put on makeup. There are nightstands. I have a rolling cart in there that holds a lot of my makeup. I have a stack of blankets that is stacked really tall on top of a basket that I probably need to go through and figure out what actually needs to stay in the bedroom and what does not. I have a clothes rack, and it took me a second to figure out what I meant by that. It's actually a drying rack. So when I wash clothes that need to be hung dry or laid flat to dry, they sit on there. We have a rocking chair in there that tends to be a catch-all. Right now it holds all of our extra coat hangers. I have a trunk that currently has a lot of shoes sitting on top of it inside of shoe boxes. And then the edge of our closet has a lot of things that come right up and over the edge because it's raised up off the floor with a couple of drawers. So we need to clear that out because I would like to be able to open and close the closet doors whenever we want. So I also wrote a couple of other things that it's not just the initial decluttering, but it's also keeping that up so I don't have to continually redo this. So creating a habit to keep the bedroom picked up and then setting a donation day for giveaway items. This is something I'm not all that good about. We have a lot of stuff for donation in the garage and we tend to just donate everything all at once when we clean out the garage, and that ends up being twice a year, which makes our garage kind of cluttered. So I'd like to avoid this whole cycle that I seem to go through if at all possible. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and transfer these action steps down here. So I have gone ahead and transferred everything off of this Post-it note, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off, set that to the side. Now I am probably going to go ahead and keep this notes here because these are habits that I want to develop later in order to keep things clean. So I don't run out of room here, and you'll see I kind of doubled up, but that's fine because I may or may not assign due dates, but generally it would be a due date for quieting all the surfaces, not for each one individually. So that is how I'm doing the bedroom. So this one is the bathroom. So I'm going to put very similar information here. And I do think it's kind of funny and ironic to myself that I'm saying surface clutter is minimized and intentional, that I would have intentional surface clutter. But I think what I'm trying to say is anything that's out has a purpose, and I want to be there, not just because it got dumped there. Now I am, you'll notice, repeating the exact same thing except for changing this word to bathroom. I don't mind rewriting all of this because it's basically drilling it into my brain. What it is that I'm trying to do, why it is that I'm trying to do it. Alright, so once again, I actually made some notes here about things that I want to declutter and clear. We have shelves in our shower that are kind of built into the wall, but we also have a hanging thing. And it doesn't seem like much, but I only look at that when I'm in the shower, and usually I'm in a hurry and I don't have time to clear it out. So that's something I need to actually intentionally do. So that's something I need to intentionally do. Now the medicine cabinet and the drawers and underneath, they aren't technically surface, but things tend to congregate down there, and when I run out of room because I haven't cleared stuff out, then things end up on the countertops. So that's why, even though it isn't really surface clutter, it causes surface clutter. So that's why, especially in the bathroom because it's not that big, I am putting down clearing out cabinets and drawers and things. So essentially we each have a drawer, and then there's a cupboard thing underneath it, and then we have a center cupboard where we keep a lot of things that are common to both of us. All right, so that's transferred. Okay, so rooms that are left. The living room was actually the initial room that I worked on, but I have not kept it up. So remember that cycle I was trying not to repeat? Yeah, well, I'm repeating that cycle, unfortunately. And then the other thing is my craft room, and that is going to be a very large undertaking. So yeah. So again, I'm repeating what it is that I'm trying to do. Surface clutter is minimized and intentional, resulting in a peaceful home. I'm also repeating why it's important. And I'm hoping the noise isn't too bad. The weather here has been so hot. This is actually Sunday night, and it has been over 100 degrees the last 3 days, usually somewhere around 110. We don't have central AC. My craft room does not have a fan because I chose not to put one in, which I love the light that's in here, but this was probably not a good idea. So it is very warm in this room right now. So I am doing the best I can to get this filmed. But normally I have the door to the hallway closed and the door to the living room closed just because it reduces the noise, but it's way too hot for that. So, and the dogs, because the door is open, they're hanging out in here with me, so they're actually behaving though, so it's not been too bad. But just in case you hear the TV from the other room, I apologize, but if I close the door, I will die of heat stroke. So yeah, it's a trade-off. All right, so I'm gonna go get Post-it notes just because it's easier for me to think when I'm not having the pressure of making sure that everything looks good. And that was also a bit of a nice respite because I had to go into the room where the fan is to get the sticky notes, and it is much cooler in there, and I didn't realize how hot it was till I left the room. Okay, so quickly, so I can get this wrapped up. I'm just going to make a note that this is for the living room. And again, feel free when you're breaking down projects, use scratch paper, because sometimes you write things down, you realize they're not granular enough. So you might need to go back and break things down a little bit more. So sometimes there's less pressure to do that on scratch paper, post-it notes, or whatever. And then as you write things down, you realize what those steps actually need to be. So in the living room, because we have kind of a combination of living room / dining room, there's the dining table. We have a buffet that tends to collect a few things. What I call my morning desk, which is where I do my quiet time in the morning and do my planning, which tends to collect planner clutter. We have what we call the fainting couch, which essentially is a couch that has an arm on one side and not the other. And I can't spell, so this is another good reason. I keep wanting to write conch. I don't know. We have a coffee table. We have an entertainment center, which my husband likes to put stuff on periodically. We have a built-in bookshelf as well. There's a side table on my side and a side table on Gary's side. So that, I think, is pretty much all of the surfaces that are in the living room that need to be done. So rather than having you watch me rewrite the same things here, I'm just going to look around my craft room. So we have the main desk, which is where I'm sitting right now. I have a sewing table. There are shelves in here. I have a bookshelf. Sadly, the floor, because I have quite a bit of stuff piled on the floor. There's a closet, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And then I have an area for the printer that tends to collect things on top. So this is how I tend to break things down. Essentially, I'm writing in the top part, and then I'm just kind of brainstorming a little bit of what else I need to be working on. And I will probably think on this for a few days, and then I'll write things in, which is pretty much what I did on the bedroom and bathroom projects. I filled these in a couple of days ago. I kind of thought on it a little bit, and then I came to film this video. So that way I had ideas of if there was anything missing, I could fill that in before I came up with action step priorities. Hopefully that was helpful, getting a glimpse at how I am breaking things down and how I'm taking goals and projects and breaking them down into tasks that are more accomplishable rather than just looking at a goal or project as a whole. I'm looking at something that's a little more broken down. So hopefully this video has been helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'd be interested to hear any advice or how you do your project and goal planning. Everybody does things slightly different, and I've learned so much from watching other people's YouTube videos and talking with other people about how they do their project planning. So definitely leave comments down below and let me know if you have any tips or tricks that you'd like to share. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate you giving it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye!